So I appreciate you coming and introducing yourselves to us tonight. This is probably the 24th time that I've witnessed this, and it never ceases to amaze me how much the candidates grow throughout this program. So kudos to the organizers, and thank you very much for attending tonight. We have a little bit, a pin for you to start off. I will have Councillor Austin present you with those, and then if you could come behind us and we'll take a photograph. We'd appreciate that.
It's just the new. There you go. We have lots of these. This is so much.
So we'll just take a moment for a photo op. We can Photoshop council out of here later. The first order of business, you have to stay for the entire meeting.
And they're like, I don't think so.
Now, please, if you have other commitments, we don't want to hold you up, but thank you again.
Ooh, have fun.
Enjoy your time.
Thank you. Great days.
So we do have some correspondence. We have anything and then correspondence that you would like to discuss, Councillor Frisbee. I'm sorry. I do, because I'm right-handed. Councillor Austin.
I'd like to, am I on? It says funny things here. I'd like to just talk about the, where am I? Lakewood Manor update, just a couple of things so people know we're still doing stuff.
Why don't we just do a brief on each one? So City of Langford was a letter on permanent daylight savings, just some concerns that were initiated by councillors about the adoption of permanent year-round daylight savings time, and they feel that there could be another option. Next, if I get back there, was the Mosaic harvest plan. And that shows the harvest areas for 2026 to 2028. I think it's important that this information be forwarded to members of the community that know where Mosaic will be harvesting in the coming years. They have been pretty good about letting us know, and we've worked collaboratively on how we can mitigate noise problems, et cetera, when they're adjacent to communities. On the Cowichan Lake Elder Care Society, Councillor Austin.
Yes, I just want to speak to this a little bit. I know people have been asking us, a lot of local people had donated and we're still doing a lot of fundraising and that type of thing. We have a new management team and our application this year was an excellent one. It wasn't refused. It's just because of the provincial budget that it was not allowed. I just want to tell everyone out there who has supported us that we haven't gone away. We remain committed. The property that we have by the library, we have for another 4 years. So we have 4 more years to be building on there. We'll be going for other grants. We haven't stopped. We're going to keep going. And our seniors here need these 30 units. They want to stay in their community, and we're hoping that we can get something done within the next year.
Thank you for that. I did receive a call from the president of the Elder Care Society, and I suggested that he send the letter off to council so we could discuss it. I think it's not only our community that is seeing this lack of investment from BC Housing and the provincial government, with also downloading housing targets to communities that this project would have probably opened up some options to that. So hopefully that program can be reinitiated shortly, like next year, to get some of these shovel-worthy projects up and running. So thank you for the letter. And we'll move on to the Cowichan Cultural Connection Society. That's the Reconciliation Journey of Our Generation workshop. It's on there. If anyone would like to go, please reach out to our administrative assistant and we'll see about getting registered. That's May 8th, 2026. Counselor.
No, I had my hand on the register and realized that I'll be on a plane to Terrace that day.
Okay, if anyone else would like to go, please have a look at the program. We'll go from there. And with that, we'll move on to council and committee reports. Councillor Frisbee, I think we dealt with yours, but do you have anything else? Nothing there. Councillor Sandu and Councillor Frisbee have Cowichan Lake Recreation, but there's no meeting until June 1st. Councillor Womack, are you going to give us something? Vancouver Island Regional Library?
So May the 1st is going to be a Zoom meeting for an auditor's report for the library board at AVICC, which is Association of Vancouver Island Coastal Communities. They had a trade show booth set up there, which was nice to see. And our library here now, as well as having computers, books, and snacks for young students to come after school and weekends. They've also added jump ropes, volleyballs, and soccer balls so that they can come and utilize those at the town square.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any questions? Moving on, Community Forest Co-op. We had our annual general meeting last week. I have been appointed or voluntold as the vice chair again, and we welcomed a local employee from the office as a new independent director. So I thank her for putting her name forward. With that, there's not much more to report, unfortunately. With the, did I hear you, John? No. Anyways, we have had a couple of meetings with the Cowichan Lake Community Forest Cooperative and also the First Nation on maybe some economic opportunities in a collaborative approach. We did have a dinner at the Forest Workers building to just introduce each other to each other. And that's this time I would like to thank Councillor Sandu for her time on the board and for representing me as an alternate and then an independent. We appreciated your time there. Thank you. And the one you've all been waiting for, Cowichan Valley Regional District. Interesting times. I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to view April 22nd's meeting. I was fortunate enough to sit in the chair in the absence of Chair Segal, who was in Victoria at a conference with our CAO. It was probably the largest public input period that I have seen in my time on the Cowichan Valley Regional District. If you go back many years to the implementation of Bings Creek, that was also a contentious issue with the raging grannies, for those who remember. The Echo Depot in the south end that was looked at implementing a similar project was also contentious. But I think this one really was a topic that embraced everyone within the communities. There was speaker after speaker that was coming forward with their concerns on the large document of amalgamating the electoral area zoning bylaws into one document. It was a draft proposal, and unfortunately, it was defeated unanimously. So there is work to do to reinitiate the interactions between the constituents and the elected people. But what came out of that for me was the misogynistic comments that were made to the female directors on the board and to the female staff within the organization. We're all elected by the constituents to represent what we feel is best for our communities as a collective. And I think it's imperative that we show respect to those who have put their names forward. This is not a job where you look for status or compensatory remuneration. It's a full-time job with part-time pay, with many, many issues. But I want to thank those who did attend and represent themselves in a respectful manner during that April 22nd meeting. There will be follow-up resolutions that came through that on rescinding the modernized official community plan. And with that, there will be considerable work in each area to try to accommodate issues within each electoral area. Let's be clear that it has nothing to do with municipalities. We have our own official community plans and zoning regulations that reside within our municipal boundaries. It was just for the electoral areas. So with that, have a look at the meeting minutes if you wish. It was very entertaining. Usually the public input period is 15 minutes long. We extended to 30 minutes, extended again, and we gave the opportunity for each person that wanted to have public input to do that. And I think that's important. We have to have open dialogue to know what the deficiencies in that document were. Are we perfect? I'm not. But this is one we can learn from. Communication starts from the start, not partway through or halfway through the process. So with that, that was the highlight. I did enjoy chairing that as an outsider. I had no skin in the game, so to speak. So I looked at it as a learning opportunity of how the community became engaged. So, yes.
So there's a bit of misinformation about how that works. So obviously, the policies you're talking about just affect the area and area directors. So with you as chair of the meeting and other municipality representatives in that meeting, do you get to vote on those policies?
No, that's only for those affected. The reason it comes to the board, similar to how we have our procedures here, the work is done in the committee and then brought up to the board for final endorsement. So that's the reason it was dealt with at a special electoral area services committee meeting and then brought to the board for final approval by those 9 directors. Municipal directors did not have a vote. And with that, I will move on to Councillor Austin, Community Outreach Team.
Thank you. Our meeting, excuse me, was April 16th. The community services is 2 jobs for Canada's, the Canada summer jobs are filled now. They have a youth week, May 1st to 8th, And the job fair that some of us attended the other day was quite good. It was at the Curling Lounge. Quite a few people did come to that. I'm not sure if anybody got jobs or not, but there were lots of great people there. It was I thought it was pretty well attended when I was there. I think Councillor Frisbee was there as well. The Fire Smart Community event at Saywell Park will be May 16th. They're inviting all the community to come out to that. There'll be quite a few vendors and different things going on there with food and stuff like that, and lots of great information. Cowichan Lake Recreation Commission, Danny, our manager of the recreation section, said the girls softball team has started with 38 participants, quite young girls, and they're quite pleased with that. And they do have 4 to 5 applications for lifeguards, which they were getting a little nervous about. And then that was about it. There's quite a bit of stuff, but it was the same as sort of last month, quite a few different things going on within the community, and people should be made aware of. There's lots going on at the rec center, the library, and community services.
Thank you for that. I was so excited to report on the Cowichan Valley Regional District that I skipped Councillor Sandu and the Air Advisory Planning Commission of our area. So I will turn to you and apologize profusely. Do you have anything to report? Don't say no.
That's weird. Thank you. So we held our monthly meeting last Thursday, April 23rd, and we discussed the development approval procedure bylaw that's coming to council tonight, and also discussed amendments to the official community plan. And our next meeting is May 28th at 3 o'clock.
Thank you for that. Councillor Frisbee.
Just wanted some feedback on that. Are we sending enough questions to the APC? Are we keeping them busy enough, or is there things that we could send their way for opinions on?
Thank you. I think possibly, yes. Yeah, there are certainly other items. I expect another item that I'm working on right now, which will come, I hope to come before Committee of the Whole next in May 14th. That might be something. It's related to food trucks and mobile vending. Yeah, that would be worthy of APC's input.
Just follow up with me. So when we see these minutes on the agenda, like we're not really getting any feedback from what was discussed. So that's kind of where I struggle. It's like, I know that it's being discussed, and I've spoken to one member, and it's like, well, it's okay to have these meetings, but we need to hear what the discussion is. So I don't know what the solution is to that. Maybe extended minutes or something, but we're not really getting much feedback, and I think we can engage a bit more maybe.
I think we talked about that last year. There's good discussion at the table, at the APC table, amongst members, and minutes are only supposed to be just motions moving for actionable items, right? So I don't have an answer as to, okay, Carolyn does think.
I have an answer. I used to get in trouble at the Forest Co-op for making really long minutes, but I used to put a section in that just said discussion on what was said under each item. And some people thought it went on too long, but it tells you how the discussion went and how it moved along and what came up. And I think you can do that. I don't know who's the secretary for that?
Our planner.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't sure, but just, if you could even something, just what the discussion, how it went, and you didn't have to put names of people, or because some were negative and some are positive, and just how it traveled along to get to the final. Because just motions, I was never happy with just motions myself.
One more from you. Perfect. Councillor Sandu.
One more. I don't know if there's a way that we could just record the meetings, not have them, to the public. They don't need to be, but just to council members to review. So then you would see the discussion.
So I think we've discussed a need for a little bit more wholesome reports from the APC. I'm sure staff will work on options coming forward and bring them back for us. It could be as easy as an email on the discussion items that were broached prior to the APC minutes being finalized here. And then that can still reside within the council minutes as an option moving forward. Councillor Sandu.
I know our planner leads the meeting, so I don't think she can sit there and try and lead the agenda, well, along with our chair and be able to write these notes unless we get somebody on the APC.
I appreciate it, but we'll leave staff to come back with some options that might appease the further information that is requested.
Yep, we'll see what we can do. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that. We have our Cowichan next, Councillor Asa.
Thank you. Our Cowichan was at our last meeting and gave us quite a lot of information about the Cowichan Health Network survey and items that affected our community and to make sure that we are addressing them. And I don't have a date for the next meeting. It's usually every other month on the third Thursday.
Thank you. Moving on to the Cowichan Watershed Board, Councillor Sandu.
Thank you. We held our monthly meeting on Monday. We've announced that the Lower River cleanup is dated for August 23rd. The volunteers clean a minimum of 15-kilometer stretch of the Cowichan River, land and water. So they get a lot of garbage out of there. So it's a great volunteer position if anybody's interested. The Cowichan Watershed Society held our AGM on April 16th, and I was reelected as co-chair along with Tim Kachowski from Cowichan Tribes. Treasurer is David Slade, and our secretary is Dr. Shannon Waters. The Cowichan Watershed Board formed a forest target committee. They will be working on indicators and targets for healthy forests because healthy forests make healthy watersheds. So that's something new that the Watershed Board is taking on is again, healthy forests. Each board member was asked to think of a quote for our annual report. And so I went back the last couple of years on my notes, and this is something I came up with was, a river just doesn't carry water, it carries life. And I think we need to look at it more like that it's just not water flowing. There's a lot of life underneath the water, the layer of water. We also are hiring a film assistant to document how the Cowichan Watershed Board convened partners and how the monitoring plan was redefined in 2023, the Fish Kill event. So this book here is Collaborating for Salmon Resilience from Crisis to Opportunity, a Cowichan story. So they want to make a film off of this document and what they've said and what lessons we have learned, we will continue to learn as we head into another dry summer. This is important for many communities in BC facing alarming conditions due to compounding threats to the salmon-bearing rivers. And I'd like to give a backstory quickly to this. Climate change is intensifying summer drought conditions, creating a new normal, scenarios of low flow and high water temperatures. And the indicators are that this summer is probably going to be our driest on record, from how little snowpack we have to they will be adjusting the flows at the weir now that Domtar isn't taking water, that this will somewhat help the river, but it's not a solution. And there's no update on the build of the new weir as of yet. It's still sitting in Victoria. So our next meeting is May 25th.
Any questions to Councillor Sandu on those? Thank you for your representation on that. And finally, I'm going to turn to Councillor Frisbee and or Councillor Austin, Otaki twinning. I know we do have that further on in other reports, but anything to report in the committee portion?
I will speak on the itinerary because it's one and the same, but yeah, so they're arriving on October 10th at 4:30. So I think we're welcoming 13 people, at which point we'll have a welcoming ceremony here. So we'll put that in our diaries. The unique thing about this visit is that they are visiting over Thanksgiving. So that's going to add some uniqueness to it. We are having the banquet on October 13th. The click is booked that night, unfortunately. So we will be putting out a call for caterers for a banquet event. And then they will be leaving on October 14th. So we're also putting together gift bags. Jolene Prack is doing that on our behalf. So lots of good work there, and we'll come up with a draft itinerary moving forward.
Thank you for that. Councillor Austin, anything?
Not too much. I was at the museum and I did talk to Tanisha and Jolene about the kids and the whole group going to the museum, and Nathan will open on the Sunday for them. That might be a day to to visit the First Nations, have a lunch somewhere in town, and then do the museum either or one day or the other. Because we're working on this all together, so we're hoping that it will be a good visit for everyone.
Great, thank you for that. Nothing else on those reports, so we'll move on to number 10. That's other reports. I'd like to welcome Sergeant Kevin Mack, the Lake Cowichan RCMP. I'll come to the podium and we'll go over those work plans for this year. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Sergeant Kevin Mack. I'm here to present the mayor's report to the mayor and council. Just want to do a brief overview of our current staffing situation. Currently, we do have 10 provincial allocated positions for the Lake Cowichan detachment. We also have one surplus to our establishment that was allotted back in September 2025 due to a projected long-term off-duty sick member. We currently have 3 soft vacancies due to injuries, and we just received a new member from Depot that started April 17th, and that's to fill a hard vacancy from a member that retired back in January. Currently, we had a meeting, it was about a month ago with the town, discussing our annual performance plan updates. We agreed to some goals and some initiatives. Road safety being one of them. That includes doing traffic enforcement and making sure we're enforcing the Motor Vehicle Act, keeping the roadways safe. Marine safety, crime reduction, which would include curfew checks on people who are on conditions within our community, and hotspot patrols where crime is prevalent during the busier season. And as well as positive youth engagement, so proactive enforcement of being out with the youth in the communities and meeting with them at schools and just making ourselves be approachable to the youth in the community. Had a little bit of crime trends on there. We're definitely down on crimes against person, minus 52.2%, which is a good thing, as well as crimes against property was down 30%. And this was Q1 compared to Q1 of last year is my comparisons on that. As well as mental health calls are down 19.5% this quarter. In total from January 1st, 2026 to the end of March, we received 230 calls for service. And in my report, I sort of gave a breakdown of general calls that we do receive. Assists, police, fire, and ambulance is obviously number 1 there. And that's for general call for service for assisting other detachments, as well as traffic incidents, check well-beings, and property complaints. Does Mayor Council have any questions for me at this time?
I'll turn to my colleagues and see.
It's not a question, it's just a comment. I live in a block watch neighborhood up on Joel Road, and it kind of got a little stagnant and really wasn't being utilized on social media. And then a person in the community that was released with conditions was causing a little bit of apprehension in the area. And we brought it forward to the RCMP, and we're happy that members have been by keeping an eye on that person. But it was really neat because then I went back on the Facebook site, let people know that there's something going on in the neighborhood. Please watch out for each other. And all of a sudden, it was a surprise how many people started popping up and saying that they were watching at 6 in the morning, somebody else coming home at 11 o'clock at night from her shift, and she was watching, and it was really neat how so many residents, about 8 of them, all on that one little strip, were talking to each other saying, you know, we're watching, because there's quite a few ladies that live on their own too. And they had said that ever since somebody had let the RCMP know that there was constantly presence in the neighborhood. So we thank you for keeping our neighborhood safe. And anybody else on blocks that are a concern, I would encourage them to get a block watch neighborhood happening, because it's benefited us on Joel. Thank you.
Awesome. You're very welcome.
Anyone else? I do have a question, Sergeant Mack. With the FIFA coming up, you will be losing members to that, I'm sure.
Yes, for the FIFA event, they are asking 10% of our resources for the duration of the event, which is going to be starting the first week of June all the way until the last week of July. I do have 2 members attached to my detachment that are what we call as TAC troop trained, so they'll be utilized through most of the event, and then give and take a little bit. So I have to consistently give 10% of my resources for FIFA.
And given that that is probably the start of the busiest season in the Cowichan Lake area, that may prove problematic, but I'm sure there's a contingency in place.
We definitely have a lot of resources around the island that we can pull from. We always have a good amount of interest of people who want to work overtime. So I don't foresee any problems at this point in time.
And with that, I don't see other hands. Could you extend our thanks to the members for the service that they provide, not only us, but probably one of the largest geographic areas for a local small detachment. We appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Now, next under 10B is the 2026 Otaki itinerary. And we did a little bit of it, but you had more. Counselor Frisbee?
Nothing to add to that. No.
Okay, so we will work through the itinerary with yourself, Counselor Austin, and perhaps our executive secretary, finalizing that, maybe at a next meeting of some sort, discussing it with those who may be hosting this year. So I think it's important that those that went last year have an opportunity to return the hosting favor to those that are coming. So we'll continue with that ongoing matter. Under number 11, we have finance report to March 31st, 2026. Ms. Gill?
Yes, good evening, everyone. The finance report for the 3 months ended March 31st with comparatives for the year ended December 31st are attached for council review and input. The 2026 budget numbers as presented have been updated on the finance report to reflect the budget discussions held in February. There's one exception, and that's the property taxation revenue. On March 31st, we received the revised assessment roll, and that included non-market changes. The non-market change is any change to a property's assessed value that isn't caused by real estate market going up and down. It's due to new construction, additions, renovations of suites and that kind of thing. So the non-market change assessments combined with the 4% increase on last year's revenue has resulted in additional $44,525 in property tax revenue. So the table on the first page there shows the 3 million, that was $3,054,875 that was presented at budget. With the $44,000 in additional non-market change assessment, property taxation is now over just under 3.1. It's $3,099,400. The comparative figures for December 31st have not yet been finalized. We're still going through the audit. They're pretty close though. So one other change that I noted when we passed the minutes earlier was a $20,000 addition to the Lakeview Park. So I have a revised 5-year plan that I'll pass out later, but that will change from the numbers, the draft numbers as presented in these in these financial statements that you have in front of you. So some of the reporting you might have noticed has changed, so we've better aligned the departments responsible for the function with the expenses related to those functions. For instance, the ambulance building under the fire department, and those page 8, a new area for development services, which encompasses the building inspection, bylaw enforcement, and animal control. So we mailed out the annual utility bills in January. So you'll notice in the budget that the annual fees for water, sewer, and garbage have been billed out and show in the statements. Lakeview Park opened for reservations on March 9th, and we've collected to date 46% of the budgeted revenues. Legal expenses are higher due to the settlement that was paid in it was paid in January, but it was accrued on the financial statements for December 31st, 2025. So Public Works administration expenses show on page 5. They appear high right now because we haven't yet posted the administration charges that we charge to all the other departments. Capital expenditures include a deposit on chassis the fire department is purchasing at a cost of $213,000. And the discounts in the water and sewer funds and for the garbage show as 100% expended because that period is now over. You had to pay the bill before March 2nd to get the 10% discount. If there's any other questions on the finance report, I would be happy to answer them.
Thank you for that. I have Councillor Wamaka first.
Just a question. So on page 4, business licenses. So the revenue is budgeted at 23,000 and we've collected 11% of that. And so my concern is that's 89% of our businesses haven't paid their business licenses. So is this just an administrative error?
Sorry, page 4, you're looking at.
The revenues.
Oh, okay, sorry.
On the budget.
So that is going to be, what happens is we bill the business licenses in October or November of the previous year, and then they're recorded as prepaid. So an adjustment just needs to be made, which hasn't been done yet. I'm a little bit behind catching up since I've been back to show the 21,000 that was billed, not necessarily collected. So that will show on the statements next time.
So it'll show what hasn't been collected on the.
No,
next
it'll
one.
show what the billings were, not
Yeah.
necessarily what's been collected.
Okay.
I can provide that number though as to what hasn't been collected if that's of interest to you.
Well, it just stood out to me.
Yeah.
That there was a lot of businesses that didn't pay their business license yet, and we're already into April.
No, it's catching up on the year end, which is what I've been concentrating on since I got back, and then I'll get those entries posted for.
Not another one after
career.
Councillor Bandu. No, we're gonna carry on? Okay, on page 9, and I guess it's either yourself or our Public Works Superintendent, the snow removal budget. So we allocate, I think it's 40,000, and then we had a light year. And so everything goes into a reserve for a snow, what would you call it? Snow. The snow budget for a small plow for sidewalks, et cetera. And where would I find how much money is in the reserves and where it is?
You will see that when we do the year-end financial statements. Don't quote me, but I think it's around the total reserve is around 116,000 thereabouts.
Okay, because we have a light year this year for snow, and I thought, okay, if it's building up enough that we had enough to look at purchasing one, it would probably be better to do that before the snow flies, so to speak.
Well, we do have a Public Works equipment reserve that pays for Public Works equipment. So that would probably come out of the equipment reserve and not the snow reserve.
But I thought the idea of having that snow removal reserve budget was to purchase a small.
It wasn't for capital, it was for any additional snow removal that was required in a heavy year. So 1996, for instance, when we got 60 some odd centimeters, it was for snow removal, not capital and not equipment. the equipment reserve within Public Works would accommodate that,
This.
that you're speaking of.
Okay. And last one is because on page 14, it says that the collect rental to date for the facility has brought in $2,010, but at the same time, it's showing the expense of $20,494. So I'm trying to figure out how we brought in 2,000 and spent 20,000. Is it just because we haven't put in input items in? And that was on page 14.
The rental income for Clark is the house or is it a log cabin on the river that we collect rent on. So that's just what we've collected to date. That would be the first 3 months.
Okay, so then I'm trying to figure out how we've put and paid for kitchen wages and food supplies and custodians when it's not showing any income actually coming in.
Well, there's 50,000 that's come in, but we may not have had all the receivables in. I'd have to
So
check.
you haven't put it in there yet, so
Yeah,
it's just
I-
administrative.
Correct. I'd have to check with Dalton to see if
Okay.
billings come through.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next? Counselor Sandu.
Thank you. Under parks, which is page 9, pickleball courts. I thought we had talked about part of a capital project was to redo some of the pavement that's lifting, and I don't see that in the capital or the actual budget for 2026.
Somewhere for 15,000.
I haven't seen it.
I believe we decided to do the repairs out of the operations budget because it would have been a repair.
Okay, I have one more question. And then just one more question.
Actually,
Oh.
no, I stand corrected. There's a $15,000 budget under parks, under the capital budget.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look for it. And then one more thing, washrooms, $30,000. I don't know why I feel like I haven't seen that line item before. What is that for?
Cleaning.
For cleaning of all the washrooms around town.
But it's not damage or anything. It's just cleaning?
No, the damage goes under vandalism.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Good with that? Counselor Austin, anything? Counselor Frisbee? Good with that? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Welcome back. Now we'll move to planning, bylaws for council consideration. We have a staff report there. If I do so, thank you for pointing that out. Would someone like to move acceptance? Moved by Counselor Austin, seconded by Counselor Frisbee. We don't want to redo that again, do we? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. We have a staff report on bylaws for council consideration. Let me open that. Ms. Reynolds?
Thank you. So we've got 3 bylaws. So I guess this report, we're introducing them, and then item 12 in the agenda, the bylaws are there for second and third reading. So again, we've talked about these bylaws a number of times. We've got the development application procedure bylaw number 1125, public notice bylaw 1129, and fees and services bylaw amendment bylaw 1130, which is the amendment is needed to address some of the change or one of the clauses in proposed bylaw 1125. At the committee of the whole, when I presented, I thought there was a need for a public hearing for these, but the community charter doesn't require a public hearing for these types of bylaws. So there is no notice required. Again.
Just on that, man, we've got to go. Even though we're not required to, do you think it'd be a good idea to have a public meeting on this?
I'm not sure. I mean, we've talked about them a number of times at the council table. We put it out for input from community and from the development community and got really very little input. So I don't know that it's necessary myself. So again, development application procedures bylaw is really, it's about streamlining land use approvals, trying to address some changes related to the Local Government Act, delegating approval for some land use applications, including minor development variance permit applications and development permits. So I won't go into it, but the recommendation is to grant first, second, and third reading for the 3 bylaws, but I guess that comes later in the agenda.
Thank you for that. And we will move on to, we'll stay with you in planning for 228 Joel Road. Ms. Reynolds.
So this is an application that came before council in 2025. And what they were proposing, it's to do with the development permit application within the watercourse and streamside protection development permit area. They amended their application to add an accessory building, a garage. And so as a result, they're required to apply for an amendment to that. And it's somewhat straightforward because it still meets, it's consistent with the riparian area protection regulation assessment that was completed. And that with the proposed amendment of the addition of the accessory building has been added to that assessment and submitted to the province. So, so my recommendation is to approve the amendment, development permit 2025-0101. Reflect, that second 01 is reflecting the amendment for the property at 228 Joel Road, consistent with the attached site plan by the surveyor Kenyon Wilson. And also, once the work is completed, that they install a permanent demarcation of the streamside protection enhancement area.
Thank you for that. Would someone like to move that or discussion on that prior? Counselor Frisbee, you're moving that? Moved, seconded by Counselor Sandu. Now discussion on that one? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. And staying in planning, we'll go to 279 Tal Road.
Okay, so this is another amendment application. So this is a development permit related again to watercourse and streamside protection development permit area. Council originally approved this back in September of 25. And this is one of these applications where the province questioned the original riparian streamside, the assessment that was completed, and that it didn't address issues, or it didn't address some of the land use alterations that had taken place prior to, or as part of, with that assessment. It didn't address some of the tree removal and so on that happened. And so the province required this additional condition and impact assessment report to be prepared. And the way that goes, in order for that report to be essentially approved, it has to be done through a development permit. There's no other mechanism. So they provided an updated, that condition and impact assessment report, and that was prepared by their qualified environmental professional. That has been submitted to the province and is awaiting confirmation from the town, depending, of course, on council's approval or not. And that report, the condition and impact assessment report, recommends replanting, and they provide a replanting plan. And then there's also a bond in the amount of 13,000 and change, which is the cost of replanting. And so the recommendation is that the work be completed consistent with the replanting plan, and that a bond be submitted to secure that. And once the replanting is done, that bond would be refunded.
Okay, so that is a recommendation from the planner to approve DP 2025-10-01 with those conditions that were spoken of at 279 Tal Road. Moved by Councillor Sandu, seconded by Councillor Womaka. Discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Staying there, I believe. Phase 6 of the slopes. Ms. Reynolds.
Thank you. So this, yeah, we have another amendment, and this is related to conditions that need to be met prior as part of the subdivision application that is, has already been issued a preliminary layout review letter. The, this amendment is to address, the amendment to the DP is to address the wildfire assessment that was completed by their professional, as well as the geotechnical assessment that was completed by their engineer. And those are requirements for the subdivision. And so the so the recommend approval of the amendment for the parent parcel, the remainder lot A, up on the slopes, and that work be completed consistent with the wildfire hazard assessment as well as the geotechnical hazard assessment. And then as a condition of the subdivision, section 219 covenants for each assessment would have to be registered. That would carry over across both the parent parcel, and then when it's the subdivision approved, they would run with the new lots, and that those be registered prior to final approval.
Can you just briefly let council know what a 219 is?
It's a restrictive covenant, and so it's registered, runs with the land, and it informs then any subsequent property owner that it makes them aware of what the particular issue is at hand, and also that they can, the section 219 is a notice on title. The reports themselves aren't on title, so they would have to come into the town to understand what they are. But in these cases, it's both addressing requirements in the official community plan relative to wildfire assessment, as well as geotechnical matters. And in this case also, because of the drainage that's running through the property that council addressed a number of months ago, it's identifying flood construction elevations and so on for the adjacent parcels.
Thank you for that. Cole's note version, Councillor Frisbee.
Yeah, I just want to address something that there's a few people have commented saying, well, the town is really making the slopes jump through hoops for this. But I think what I want to make clear is these aren't unnecessary hoops. These are hoops that have been in place for a long time. And we've seen, that developments like the Trails Edge move on into different phases without completing the requirements. So I just want to commend you for all the work you've done on the slopes, because, it's a lot of work to make sure everyone is doing exactly what they need to be doing.
Thank you.
And a number of those are driven by provincial legislation, so that's imperative that be adhered to.
Yeah, and predominantly the official community plan and development permit area guidelines.
Perfect. So there is a recommendation in there to approve a DP 2026-01-01 with the wildfire hazard assessment, geotechnical hazard assessment, and the registration of the section 219. Do I have a mover? Councillor Frisbee, seconded by Councillor Austin. Discussion further? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. And finally, 38 Prospect Avenue, Miss Reynolds.
Thank you. So this also came to council before. It's not considered an amendment application, but if you recall, this had to do with, it was a development variance permit application related to an accessory building garage that had been partially constructed. And within or integral to the construction was a container, a sea can. And so council's direction at the meeting back in December was that the property owner remove the storage container, and that staff work with the property owner to update the application. So as you see in attachment 3, the applicant who is present here has submitted a letter identifying that his intent is to remove the storage container. But because it is integral to what's already constructed, he needs a building permit. He needs the variance in order to obtain the building permit to do the work. So what the recommendation, council previously, I think there was a lot of discussion about the CCAN. And so right now, this would be, the recommendation is approving the variance to construct the accessory building. But, and the variance is from 6.1 meters down to 1.3, recognizing that this is a sort of a short road, one just with a cul-de-sac, so there isn't a whole lot of traffic there. And the condition being that prior to issuing the building permit, that a bond be submitted to secure the storage container, and that would be a refundable bond. And this storage container be removed once the building permit is issued, allowing him then to finish that work.
Thank you for that. I do recall this, and I'm happy that staff and the applicant got together to find a path forward. There is a recommendation there. It's to approve DVP 2025-09 with the variance noted in the report, with an issuance of a building permit and a $1,500 bond for the removal of the storage container at a later date. Moved by Councillor Sandu, seconded by Councillor Austin. A discussion on this, please.
I'd like a little bit more clarification from yourself, Ms. Reynolds. So how do you calculate the figures of $1,500 for a bond where Towel Road was almost 14,000?
The bond from the Tall Road was based on the submission by the qualified environmental professional, the cost of plantings and the work itself. The $1,500 bond was something that I pulled out of the air.
Thanks for your
be honest.
honesty. Because my concern is a $1,500 bond to make sure that that CCAN is taken out, and we're going ahead and we're allowing the building permit to proceed. And normally on a house, if you don't pay off all of those bonds, you don't get an occupancy permit. But on a garage, there's not really an occupancy permit, so we're taking somebody's word on paper that they will remove it out of there. So I'm wondering
Well, I mean,
what our ramifications are afterwards if it isn't removed.
sorry, yeah. So, I mean, the thing would be obtaining or requiring the bond be submitted with the building permit application so that it's held. I mean, council could choose if they wanted to identify another figure for the bond. So then, and the bond would then be refunded. I mean, because occupancy, there is an occupancy permit, even though it's not sort of for habitation, but that's closing of the building permit file is the occupancy permit. So
And I think the focus should not reside within the CCAN, but more on the variance that we're allowing for the setbacks. I think with the building permit of that and the language in there, we need to look at CCAN bylaws and how that can be. We don't want a CCAN city, as Councillor Frisbee has said in the past. But I think when you look around town, there's a number that are being utilized for moving options, for instance. And I think that's something that we could look at on a short-term basis, on a permit basis. But when you have some that have been within the residency for years and they are complaint driven, they just don't come to the office. I will turn to you, Councillor Frisbee. I see you itching to.
Was it obvious, was it? Just wanted some clarification is there a difference in the definition between accessory building and garage?
No. An accessory building is just accessory to the principal use, the residential use.
And then I noticed that the plans, the setback of the interior lot line is also going to need a variance as well. If you're 1.6 meters off the interior lot line, isn't 2 meters required?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think I'm pretty sure it's okay. That it's one.
Because we're within 5'3" of the interior lot line. 1.6 meters.
Because I know sorry, this is going to take a sec. I think it's 1.5 meters.
I think according to my research, it's 2.
Pardon me?
It's 2 meters is what I can see.
Oh, that's what you're on R3 zone and it's 2 meters for an accessory building?
No, I had R1.
Because this is R3, yeah.
Anyway, further to that, why does the town require 6.1 meters to an accessory building or garage? Like, what is the reasoning behind that 6.1 meters?
Generally having a good setback to a garage as opposed to the front face of like the dwelling is related to ensuring that you have adequate space for parking of vehicles.
And just follow up on that. With this property, would you say that it is lacking parking at the moment?
Well, I mean, the garage itself, of course, is used for parking. And then, I mean, the property owner does have numerous motorcycles which will be stored in the garage. Is there adequate parking? The zoning bylaw requires 2 parking stalls. And
On the property?
on the property, and with the garage, that would provide for those 2 stalls.
Okay. It just on that, I just like there's 3 vehicles that are already on the boulevard. It's just reducing that so much, the setback so much. I understand that the restrictions on the property, but I mean, parking, we have to prioritize parking, and it's going to be hard to set a precedence here of saying, yeah, we can reduce it if you want the garage right on the road. So I'd be against this.
No problem. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? There is a recommendation there to approve DBP 2025-09 with that stated in the,
Sorry, I just want to confirm that's the side yard, the interior side setback is 1.5 meters.
thank you for that clarification on the R3 zone as opposed to R1. So would someone like to move that? Moved by Councillor Sandu, seconded by myself. Any further discussion? Going to call the question. All in favor? Opposed? The records show that Councillor Frisbee is opposed. That motion carries. Thank you for that, Ms. Reynolds. And prior to moving on to the bylaw section, I'm just going to take a short 2-minute break, stand up and stretch.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks, Steve. $17,000.
Bridget, your mic is on.
It's on now.
We can come back, we'll get the meeting back to order. Appreciate bearing with us. Everyone in the gallery, thank you for doing that. Are we okay, Miss Roach? Thank you very much. We'll reconvene the meeting at 6:32. We're going to move into bylaws. Development Application Procedures Bylaw number 1125. Ms. Reynolds.
So yeah, so the recommendation is to grant first, second, and third reading for this bylaw.
Would someone like to move that? Moved by Councillor Frisbee, seconded by Councillor Austin with a question.
I just have a question. Normally, we've always done first and second readings and leave third and then final, so that if there's any changes. Now we seem to be doing first, second, and third all together. Is that going to be a normal practice for everything?
If the
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Because we had ones, I remember my first term, we questioned and we were told, well, after the second reading, then you can question and have some other things changed. You might need to add something or take something away. That's why they have the 3 readings plus the other.
Councillor Frisbee.
Just asking.
Yeah, for clarification on that, after third reading, can we make amendments after that? Because we've been told that we can't after third reading.
You would rescind third reading and make the changes then, and then move third reading with the changes.
So why would you go 1, 2, first, second, and third?
I think it's to expedite the process, to streamline. There's a number of bylaws that need updating, for instance. So with this process, it at least gets them started through the queue. If there is investigative need for changes at a later date, the third reading can be rescinded and then start again. So I know it's a different way, but we're going in line with other organizations that do first, second, and third reading and then move it through. Hopefully that explains. Ms. Reynolds.
And I mean, for these 3 bylaws, certainly the first one, there has been some considerable conversation with it, so I don't anticipate there being any further change. I hope not, but
Just follow up on this. So at the committee of the whole meeting, a resolution was to be referred to council for consideration of first and second readings. And then we listed them all. So that should be first, second, and third reading, or have we changed policies in that time?
when I wrote the committee of the whole report, I made an error and I was thinking that a public hearing was necessary, but it isn't. So, I mean, if council, if you wanted to just do first and second reading now, that's fine.
Maybe someone else can help me work through this. So if we have first and second reading at one meeting, and then we have third and final reading at the next, there's the same amount of meetings. So if we go first, second, and third at this meeting, then we can't make any changes at the next one. It'll just be final. Am I missing something?
You have to have, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to have 24 hours. You can't pass third and fourth at the same time.
We have been. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
But if
Yeah.
you're more comfortable doing first and second, we could most certainly do that if necessary. But Councillor Austin?
May,
Although just to add to that, that's one of the changes that's identified in this bylaw because of recent changes to the Local Government Act. The changes are now, we are prohibited from having public hearings in certain instances related to the zoning bylaw. So it's addressing some of that, yeah.
So your pleasure. I'm looking for someone to make some sort of motion on this.
Can council hear me by chance?
First, second, and third reading. Are you comfortable with that before we proceed? You are not comfortable, you can, oh, you are now. Okay. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Next is public notice bylaw number 1129. Okay.
can't see him. Sarah's here. Where'd he go?
Can you hear me, council?
Pardon me?
Can you hear me?
No one has
No.
pulled up.
Not yet, no. trying to follow along. Yeah, okay, we'll utilize the technology that we have available for us, and we'll have Mr. Thomas respond via the executive secretary. Thank you for that. So we're moving to bylaw 1129, and that is yourself again.
So again, this is related to sort of an alternative means notice. So it's kind of a partner bylaw, I guess, with bylaw 1125.
And we have spoken about this earlier,
That's right.
the two papers, et cetera, looking for other alternatives. Comfortable with that? Moving first, second, and third reading, Councillor Sandu and Councillor Bamaka seconds. All in favor? Opposed? Oh, you want a question? No. You're good? I usually do, but this has been discussed considerably in the past. I'll call that again. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Continuing on, we have the financial plan, 2026 to 2030, bylaw number, oh no, I'm going to do the fees and services first. 1130, same three readings. Is that Ms. Gill? That's Bridget.
Yeah. So
Ms. Reynolds.
yeah, this is also related to the development approval procedures bylaw. It's allowing for a refund for incomplete application. So the fee bylaw has to reflect that.
Someone comfortable moving that? Councillor Frisbee, seconded by Councillor Sandu. Questions, comments? See, I did it that time. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Now we'll go to the financial plan 2026-2030 bylaw 1131. And again, that can be first, second, and third reading. Ms. Gill. Thanks, Ms. Reynolds. Appreciate it.
So this bylaw was, has been changed. I've provided an updated copy to all of council. The change is a $20,000 addition to parks to increase the Lakeview Park Beach budget from 20,000 to 40,000. So you'll notice on the financial statements, we did have a transfer from surplus, 917,000. That will be increased to 937,000. So that is the only change in the revised financial plan that's been presented to council for first, second, and third reading tonight.
Thank you for that. I'll just give you a moment to have a look at that change that was spoken about earlier in the meeting during the financial report. So this clarifies that additional $20,000 within Lakeview Park. If you're comfortable with that, I'm looking for first, second, and third reading. Councillor Frisbee moves. Councillor Austin seconds. Further discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Now the 2026 annual rates bylaw number 1132.
Yes, after the passing of the 5-year financial plan, council can pass the motion or pass the bylaw requiring a motion to pass the rates for the general Vancouver Island Library, Regional District, and Hospital requisitions. And this bylaw is here for second and third reading.
Okay. Any questions on that before we start? These are ones that are out of our control. Except for the municipal one, yes. Someone comfortable moving that? Councillor Frisbee, Councillor Austin. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Thank you. Oh. My goodness, I'm being held to account for not saying any discussion, but we did that prior to moving it. New business, we're going to go to AVICC report. If any of the councillors wish to have a Coles note version of what transpired on the weekend in Victoria. You do.
Hey, I get to go first. It was quite good this time. They're very quick. They get things done quite quickly on time. Lots of interesting things. I went to AI and local government, which was quite alarming at times. They asked us questions like, do we have a policy for AI? Do we know what the tools are? Have we identified the uses? Is there a person accountable? Are we building staff skills? And I guess we have to plan to, AI is here, so we have to plan. They say Copilot and is it GBT are very good to use. There was lots of good information in that session. And the other session I took, the future of forestry, it had some really good information on forestry and water retention and all that stuff. And we came out with better forest practices, which has been happening they're getting better every time, but they need to do a little bit more. In the end, on Sunday, we had, the plenary session was Strong Towns Bottoms Up Revolution to Rebuild Canadian Prosperity. And a lot of it that came out of that was what our former town planner had come with: smaller lots, more buildings on the larger lots to get more tax base in, instead of one house on a great big lot and nothing else. So he was very, very, good speaker and kept us awake. And we really enjoyed it. We had some good resolutions, lots of good debate of people in different parts of the island, what we need on our island and what we're looking for that will go to the UBCM. And some of the resolutions we make there will make policy with the UBCM that will go to the provincial government and help us out. So it was quite enjoyable and very well run, and it was beautiful in Victoria the whole weekend. Thank you.
For that.
Thanks for allowing us to go.
Absolutely. That's a learning opportunity and networking opportunity. Find out that no matter the size of your community, we all have the same concerns. The pot of money isn't big enough to provide the services that we require. With continuous downloading, I think that's a problem for communities who rely on property tax as their only source of revenue. And when we look at other provinces, for instance, Alberta with a resource sharing option, I think that could be afforded for long-term stability in infrastructure planning. The highlight for me was Sachi Curl giving her presentation on the level of angst within the political realm currently. She was very entertaining and giving considerable data. If you have a chance, you can look at those numbers on how people perceive what is wrong with not only the province, but the country, and what the concerns of those within the province and the country are. With that, I attended most of the similar sessions as our fellow councillors, and I will move to Councillor Womaka.
So a few highlights that I learned at AVICC. They were talking about the Cowichan legal issues that are happening. And it was noted that no private homes have ever been taken without compensation, or will not be taken without compensation, much like the federal and provincial expropriation taxes. And that to date, there has never been any private owned property taken by any land settlements in BC. So it was nice that rumor was dealt with. It was nice to meet with other elected officials. It was kind of sad that a lot of them are retiring and they won't be putting their names forward. Quite a few from the Cowichan Valley, which the mayor kind of got into at the beginning of the meeting. It's sad that so many have been bullied and harassed and threatened online. And it's worrisome that we have an election coming up in October, and we have a fear of a lot of people not wanting to put their names forward for the position. And so I hope that this changes something. There was a resolution that we had great debate on. One of the communities brought forward a $10, I think it was a $10 trip for students. There's so many students that are struggling and they're from smaller islands, and for them to come back and forth to universities, it took a good part of their expendable money. It didn't really go anywhere, but it's in the talks anyway. A heartwarming end to the convention for me was that when I went in September to UBCM, I went down along the waterway and spoke to a First Nation lady named Rosie who was selling her jewelry. And we had a wonderful 1-hour conversation about her life as a First Nations woman and how, because she was single, her son was taken away and put into foster care and has had a lot of addiction issues. So we reconnected, gave each other a big hug, and her son, unfortunately, is still struggling with addiction issues. But it was so nice to be able to connect with somebody and learn their story. So thank you for allowing me to go.
Thank you for that. And just before we carry on, I just got confirmation by email from our CAO on the previous discussion on first, second, and third reading. I'm sure you all saw that. So that is in there for your information. Just so people know, our CAO is not with us in person, but he's still with us as he had to attend to a family matter. And we'll be returning at the start of next week. So with that, I did add Elect Respect to You, which was a booth at ABICC, which you sort of started to speak about. But the pin I'm wearing on my right lapel is their branding, and it's time to restore civility and respect to the public square. Harassment and abuse are undermining our democracy, it states. And we participate in democracy free from fear or intimidation. And that goes for staff as well. So just some of the numbers, Gatineau's first mayor, female mayor, steps down citing political culture and death threats. The ex-mayor of Calgary needed security after one of the water mains blew up during our visit to FCM, I might add. So needed security to any events that she was attending. Locally, there's a number of female elected officials who are undergoing ridiculous online abuse, not only in the Cowichan Valley, but unfortunately right here in our own community. And I will, at every opportunity, stand up and support my fellow councillors. It is absolutely disgusting, some of the interactions on social media. So I implore you to be respectful, to treat people with the respect that you expect. It's okay to disagree, but we can still talk respectfully. So I ask you to look at electrespect.ca, and it will show some of the statistics of good people are refusing to put their names forward because of some of the interactions on social media. It's unfortunate, but we will see where it goes from there. And I apologize for my motions for that, but I find it disgusting. And with that, I'll move on to a mayor's report, as if that wasn't enough. Earlier this morning at 10 a.m., myself and my fellow councillors attended the National Day of Mourning, which is being held to commemorate those who have been killed or injured in the workforce. In British Columbia last year, 138 people did not come home when they left for work. Although that's one of the lowest fatality rates in recent years, a number of those are occupational disease cases, 79, 36 from asbestos, a number of those probably fire service members, 18 motor vehicle incidents, And the number that stood out for me was the demographics. 134 men and 4 women were within those numbers. So I think it's important that we continue to move forward with safe work practices. It's everybody's responsibility, and it's only going to be acceptable when everyone comes home safely. Thank you for that. Also, within Vancouver Island Health Network, I have been working in the background with Valerie Nickel, who is with the Community's Healthcare and Systems system, at looking at increasing the opportunities for healthcare within our West Cowichan area. And you got the survey results that I sent to each of you. But I encourage you to have a look at the executive summary, and I will just read a little bit of it. So community resilience is the capacity of a community to collectively use its resources, relationships, and adaptive strengths to anticipate, withstand, and recover from challenges, such as the healthcare strain that we continuously seem to be approaching in the West Cowichan area. So we're looking at how we can increase the options within the West Cowichan area, talking to various organizations and looking at increasing the survey demographics. When you look at those numbers, they're quite concentrated within, I'll say, my demographic. What's missing there is the younger demographic that wasn't represented in the survey results. But it's important that we continue those who are not attached to a physician or a medical practitioner to register with 811. That is imperative to get funding from Island Health to accommodate the needs that we need. So we're looking at how we can have a community resiliency committee, perhaps. I'll be having a Zoom meeting on May 11th to look at, with your input, whether or not we move forward with a community resiliency committee to look at options moving forward. Because healthcare is an economic driver within your community. Each person who works and lives in your community in healthcare spends in your community. So I'll keep you posted on what happens there. And we'll move on from there. Any questions? Councillor Austin. I can be if you want.
I just wondered if you were going to mention the public hearing, the town public meeting on Tuesday. I wasn't sure if you were going to mention that.
It'll be Monday.
Monday.
Sorry, yes, we do have that advertised on our calendar, so we haven't decided on what agenda items might be appropriate, but I think at this time, we just open it up to a public information meeting.
Yeah.
We show up and see what the community has to say to us as we're coming to the end of our term. We're in our final 6 months. It's time to reflect and look in the rearview mirror as to where we were and where we are. I'm proud of what we have accomplished this term. I'm proud of what previous councils have accomplished in their terms. And I think collaboratively and collectively, we're in a better place than we were 4, 8, 12 years ago. When I drove through the Uptown core when I was first elected, it did look like a ghost town. There are no empty storefronts in the Uptown now. Some are being renovated and will be filled. I had an opportunity to go to a couple of the new stores today just to say hi, and I would encourage you to do the same. The Sporting Goods store, Brewberry Books, Lake Life Fitness. There's a plethora, oh, there's a good word, of new small businesses that need your support. So thank you for mentioning that, Councillor Austin. Anyone else? Councillor Sandu.
Something I think we should be talking about at the public meeting is our water conservation. Like, where are we going to be? When are we going to start implementing restrictions? Is it going to be sooner? Just to give people an idea as to why. And the other thing is, could we not have somebody there that could actually have forms for people to register for a nurse practitioner, doctor, just somebody there, get it.
Yeah, that's something we could talk to CATSA Health Unit, whether or not there is some applications there.
No, there's not. You'd have
It's
to go to
online?
You have to go to Margaret Moss.
But there is something online that you could fill out. So we could help in that aspect if people. Yep. Anything else?
Was it went away.
Well, I think your idea on the water is imperative, given that this is one of the lowest snowpacks we've had in over a decade. So it does not look good. We've already had 2 incidents of wildfires in our area, and it's only going to get worse by the forecast that we're seeing. Next week is looking to be in the mid-20s, no precipitation in sight. And number 4, drought forecast currently in Vancouver Island, so it's pretty severe. And with that, I do have a notice of motion. I'd like to move forward a discussion at a committee of the whole on CCAN placement for moving opportunities. Maybe if we could take that to the committee of the whole as a topic of how or if we could accommodate that on a time-based permit for placement for people moving in or people moving out. I think that's an option for storage and transportation of their household items. With that, I will stop. And we'll go to question period. I have one member in the audience who may come to the podium and ask a question.
My name is Bill Garrett. I live here in Lake Cowichan. Just to further on Councillor Frisbee's question regarding the minutes and discussions at the APC, I'm just wondering whether or not, and I'll say this, as the chairman of the APC, I'm aware that the planner records the conversations on a tape recorder to make facility of the minutes easier for her. And I'm just wondering to our CAO whether or not it is legal to allow council members to have a copy or at least listen to that recording as it falls within PPIDA. And further to the mayor's comments regarding civility and respect, I also am the administrator on 2 of the Facebook pages here in town, 2 of the largest. And I will confirm to him that if I see any bullying of council members or elected officials, not only will those comments be deleted, but the commenter will be banned. Thank you.
No, we appreciate that. I wish more administrators had the same backbone as you. Unfortunately, some feel that it's freedom of speech. If you defamed me or slandered me in public, I would sue you. But you feel it's okay to do it online on social media? That's disgusting. So there's clarification. We can have a listen to the video recording. They have signed a disclaimer noting that they could be videotaped or recorded. So if you wish to review those to get more than a synopsis, that's your opportunity. Pardon me? Yes. Or attend. But we're all busy people, right? Yes, they are part of the public record. With that, I'm looking for adjournment, but we need to go in camera. So under section 92 of the community charter, council requires that before a meeting or part of a meeting is closed to the public, we must state by resolution that the meeting is to be closed, and the basis of which the meeting is to be closed falls under the following section of the community charter. Section 91C, labor relations or other employee relations. Need a motion to go in camera? Moved by Councillor Bomaka, seconded by Councillor Austin. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Meeting adjourned.